they will all come straight out of that last turn, stay up on the banking through the checkered flag. But going to be interesting here down into turn 8. We have seen some aggression. Certainly we saw Scott Hargrove do it. Will Molina be able to pull something from the outside as well as we get ready to go green here in Las Vegas? Welcome back, everybody. We are just about to go green flag here under the lights at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, showing you the grid on the bottom of the screen. The pace car lights are out. The Acura NSX, the official safety vehicle, makes its escape. And right now, that front row, led by Alvaro Perez, and that Bentley is leading the field around to take the start on the infield in between turns 7 and 8, where they do the start and restarts here. And as they start to work their way through turns 6 and 7, they will start pairing up. And we saw a very aggressive start by Scott Hargrove from the outside. See if Molina can match that, or whether Parent will be able to deal with it here. Here we go. Through turn 6, they are allowed to roll into the throttle a bit once they come around turn 7. It's supposed to be, a bit of a wiggle there by Parent as he went to the throttle, and he got a little bit better run. We are green. The season finale underway, Cal.
Molina looks to the outside, down into that brake zone. He goes around the outside. Can he get the inside for the next corner? Very aggressive.
Lots of touching, I think, going on there as we hop on board with Molina, and it looks like he came through it okay. Question was, how wide did he run as he came out of turn 8? That was almost a mirror image of what Hargrove did, but Molina didn't run quite as wide. Once again, Parent just tucks in behind.
Yeah, he's getting super aggressive, and I think for Molina, it's hard for the race stewards to see those track limits in this darkness, so maybe he took advantage of that situation, but he is on it early. Ferrari out front. That is big in the manufacturer's chase.
Absolutely. Parent slotting down into the second spot as we look back as they come up here to complete the first half lap of racing. There is Molina, then the two Bentleys, and then the number 58 started today by Pat Long.
Yeah, Sully has got around Patrick Long for that third position right now, so the Bentley's running second and third, but Molina is off like a scalded cat in fifth position. First in Pro-Am is Dane Cameron aboard the real-time number 43 Acura.
Chased hard by the number 91 of Matt Campbell, who was the driver who was so quick in that Thursday night practice here. Look at the beautiful glow of the brakes here as they dive into turn 3 and dive into that darkened infield.
Molina's car has come to life early. Maybe they got aggressive with the tire pressures here to give him the platform that he needs and get the energy into those Pirelli P0s. Brent now just got to get into his rhythm. He's been the man to beat here this weekend as a monster pole lap that he put together, but Molina has taken advantage.
Working up into turn 8, one thing I noticed in the rear view camera monitor on Parent's Bentley, behind him all you see is headlight. It's very, very bright. You're not sure who it is, but at least you know there's somebody mighty close, so you take a look at it again.
This is turn 10, that fast sweeper there. Big tire bundle to the inside. Got to make sure you don't clip that at night. And then that really tight section. Not a lot of grip here as you try to get back on the power. Low gear to accelerate up onto the speedway.
Great idea in that tire bundle, putting all kinds of reflective tape on it so it really lights up in those headlights. Up into the north apron and the run back toward the finish line. And last time the margin was 0.4 of a second, Molina to Parent, and it's up to 1.1. So right now, Miguel Molina just on board for 134.695, and stretching that margin in the lead.
Big battle there in the Pro-Am category. Dane Cameron leads Matt Campbell in the Porsches all over him. And Alessandro Balzan in the other Ferrari is really quick as well.
That is the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari. Alessandro Balzan, his first weekend back racing in North America. A year and a half he had to take off due to a medical situation. Did a couple of races in the Italian GT Championship before coming stateside once again and teaming up with Scuderia Corsa, with the team he's had a fair amount of success over the years. Lots of wins in that Ferrari and championships. Yeah,
it's a happy family there between Balzan and everyone associated with Scuderia Corsa. We're seeing the overlap there with Dane Cameron all over the tail of Patrick Long in the number 58 Wright Motorsports Porsche. But he's feeling the heat from behind. Campbell will be very frustrated. They scored the win on the road but got taken away for some contact, so they'd love to reverse the positions here tonight.
Yeah, earlier in the day in that scenario, another scenario, the number 80 as well for Marcelli and Barkey, having a bit of a penalty and losing a few spots as well. So those guys want to make up for it. And Renger van de Ven is starting the number 7 Squadra Corsa Hublot Ferrari. He shares with Martin Fuentes up on the wheel big time here, sitting in fourth and running awfully quick laps, joining that group in front of him.
The Turner Motorsports BMW M6 Shirosaka behind the wheel. They lead the AM division right now.
Number 3, that's Soule running in third, and then behind him, there is the Bling It car from Real Time Racing, the big chrome livery on top of that orange.
Scored an overall win at their home race at Road America, the 100th victory for Real Time Racing, and they added to that tally with Campbell and company being demoted from their race win today, so it's 101 wins now on the board.
That is impressive. Riding on board now, the number 9 place car, the 04 entry from DXDT Racing, the CrowdStrike Mercedes, in the hands of Colin Brown.
See how deep they are on the brakes there down into turn 3.
It's nice cool air out there right now, so everything just a little bit more responsive, isn't it?
Yeah, the car's really going to be working well. Big grip, you would imagine. The key is the balance. Have you got the balance in the race car? The grip may be there, but front to rear, is the car handling well? Is it neutral?
Here's a look, Cameron, at bright orange livery, and right behind him, at number 91, Wright Motorsports Porsche. He has balls on, attacking the back right now of Campbell in that red number 64.
Look at that Ferrari. He's inside the track limits there, but he's able to tuck the nose of that Ferrari. It's handling well. Campbell all over Dane Cameron there, looking for position. It's just so tight through that sector there, Greg.
It is. I mean, Pat Long mentioned it. He said it's an incredibly tight sequence of corners. It starts with avoiding that tire bundle, and it's a tight turn. It gets tighter still. I thought that Campbell maybe had an outside run on Cameron, and finally at the last moment had to give it up.
Sometimes those headlights kind of deceive you a little bit.
Exactly.
It's the different lines that the drivers are choosing around this race circuit. It'll be very difficult to pass on, but nonetheless, the action is intense right now as they're all stacked up at the beginning.
Parent just takes fast lap of the race, Cal, at 1:34, 1:62. That margin had gone up to about 1.3 seconds. It's down now again to 1.1. That Bentley may be starting to really come in now.
It is, but Moline is kind of matching him. He was only 100th of a second off of that lap that Alvaro just turned. On board here with Renger van der Zande. This is turn 3, now into the infield section. Little breather of the throttle here to get through this little kink. Up and over the curb. Following his teammate there, Alessandro Balzan, up ahead in the bright red Ferrari.
It's been a while since we've had this wicked quick Dutchman in the SRO America World Challenge paddock. Great to have him back. Teamed up with another great character. They're both a lot of fun, and Martin Fuentes. And he is up on the wheel right now. Look at this, Campbell again trying to work inside then outside on Cameron. This cool air.
Customer, but that Porsche looks really quick.
I was going to say, in these cooler conditions, that Porsche might be making a bit more stick at the rear.
Harder to see, to defend if someone suddenly makes a surprise move on you. In the darkness, you kind of get blinded. You saw from this, or you can see from that onboard rear-facing camera, of Renger van der Zande. It's just blazing headlights. You really can't distinguish exactly which way the car is going behind you.
And after being all over the back of Campbell, Balzan now has dropped back just a little bit in that red number 64. There is Renger van der Zande, the bright yellow helmet. That Hublot Alpha Prime, Ferrari Fort Lauderdale entry.
See how close they get to that tire bundle and that wall coming off at turn 2. If you start to abuse those curbs, it really unsettles the race car. Wide open through here, flat out with big cornering loads. They head down the back stretch into the brake zone.
And heavy braking here as they square up, head into turn 3. By angles, I think that's the tightest turn on the track.
It is, and Marcelli was looking for a way by Colin Brown. It looked like into that brake zone. I'm not sure if he made it or not.
He did.
Marcelli is through. Champions-elect for the Pro-Am category. Still need to score some points here today, and to do that, they need to get to the 75% mark in this race, and the championship title should be theirs. Dane Cameron may score more points than that duo, but he's not tied to an AM partner for the season, so he'll be demoted out of the point-scoring positions at the end of the title chase.
He'll certainly be the top-scoring pro in the Pro-Am division. No question of that, but officially, absolutely right. Look at this again, side by each, working through, and that was a repass by Colin Brown, getting right back around on Marcelli.
Great to see Colin Brown up on the wheel. Hasn't been the season he was looking for in this CrowdStrike Racing Mercedes AMG. Be great to go out on a high here tonight to set up the off-season and come back strong next year.
And behind them is the blue and silver and white Radiant Racing Unit Nutrition, accurate in the hands of Mark Miller. Ooh, Colin back end really rotating.
Mark Miller was superb today, hanging on to that Pro-Am lead until he got tipped a little bit by Matt Campbell. Eventually got a penalty called on Matt following the race. They didn't see it during the race. They reviewed the onboard cameras and made that call for him and Marcelli's move on Ringer van der Zande as well.
Marcelli
further down the order.
Sorry, guys, just saw a big move there as Marcelli took a lunge. Oh, and he's floated just a little bit wide and up and underneath for a minute. Miller had ideas but decided to check up just a little bit and tuck back in. But Marcelli, certainly racing, gave it a go, lost a little bit of ground, but still sitting right in position to pounce here in Las Vegas. Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with CrowdStrike and with Mercedes AMG. Up at the front, this Ferrari, Miguel Molina, has reclaimed fast lap cal at a 1:33.854 and is keeping that margin right at about 1.2 seconds, at least as of last lap. See what Parent is able to do this time by.
Well, you have to wonder whether they're tweaked on the setup from what they learned earlier today, because he didn't show that pace in qualifying yesterday. It was all about the Bentleys. They had a big margin. Parent's lap was a monster one that he put together. Certainly in race conditions here tonight, the Ferrari looks to have the upper hand on the Bentleys.
Well, Molina just resetting fast lap at a 1:33.6, and Parent turning a 1:34.1, and suddenly that margin is up to over 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, Soule's quick though in the second of the Bentleys. He's run a lap almost to the same pace of the Ferrari, so Parent the one who's struggling amongst the K-Pax duo right now.
That begs a little bit of a question, doesn't it? Since the driver championship has already been clinched, do you let the faster Bentley through in this case? Because it's right at this stage, it's about manufacturer as far as they're concerned.
Well, it's up to the chemistry within the group to really think of the big picture. That team championship, that manufacturer title is all they can win in this season. The drivers' championship's gone the way of Tony Vilander. So, yes, I think you'd have to. If Maxime Soule is telling the team, listen, I'm a bit quicker than Alvaro right now. Let me try and chase after that Ferrari.
Speaking of Ferraris and chasing, that is Balzan, who is back on it again and has run down the Cameron Campbell battle. Three-car scrap for the lead in the Pro-Am class, running 5th overall right now.
I am so stoked to see Alessandro Balzan run at this sort of pace. It's been a long couple of years for him to be out with medical issues. To come back this strong is amazing.
Yeah, he certainly is an awfully talented driver, and tell you what, I think with him, you just touched him and the rust just completely fell off, and he was ready to go. And I almost wonder, you know, when you have a period like that for a year and a half where you can't partake and you're absolutely, I mean, it's more than a passion, it's your life. For him to come back here, I wonder if he's just even more driven than ever.
Well, certainly drives that hunger. I mean, he's a very passionate man, has won numerous championships over the last 10 years, but when you're out and you're sitting idle, it is tough to watch, but he is definitely on top of his game on his return here. He's done a couple of rounds of Italian GT Championship racing, but this is the first time at this level.
Watching through that south apron, once you come out of that chicane, a lot of drivers have some different lines they use, and I think it's just a matter of how the car's working, what the car's telling them, and some of them want to free it up, let it run up in that bank a little bit, some of them want to stay tight, run a shorter line through that complex of the track, and whatever works at that point. They're all running very, very similar lap times here in this great battle as we hop on board with Mark Miller running 7th in the Pro-Am class. Great battles continue here in a number of different spots on the track. Certainly up front, it's a good one. The battle for the lead in Pro-Am, 3 cars covered by literally next to nothing. And then you go a little bit farther back in the pack, there's some battling going on as well. Riding right now with Mark Miller as he sits and looks at the rear deck of the number 80 Racer's Edge MBRP Acura up front. And Marcelli had gone around Brown in that 04, that red and white CrowdStrike Mercedes, but Brown figured a way right back very decisively and quickly.
Been a great day for Gradient Racing. Till Bechtelsheimer did an awesome job to qualify at the sharp end of the grid for the first race today and held it right there. And then Mark Miller, after the pit stop exchange, found himself in the lead and held off some really quick drivers until he got a little bump and run, but still finished on the podium at the end of the day.
Yeah, Till Bechtelsheimer, very, very talented driver who carries an AM ranking, but he is quick. And they put together a great run here. And it looks like Van der Zande up front of these two has dropped off just a bit of Alessandro Balzani. He's about a second adrift right now. Trying to see now whether the number 80 of Marcelli, he did it once, but if he showed his hand and Brown covers it now, that just makes it all the more difficult.
That's right. Colin has a lot of experience. There's a great little battle going on here between the Mercedes and the Acura.
That run through turn 7, as you turn into it, you double apexing, but then you can just feed it throttle. It's sort of an increasing radius corner.
Start is under review.
All right, you just heard from our race director that the start of the race is under review.
Car 6-1 must give back one position. Car 6-1 must give back one position.
That may be Molina who took that wide line through turn 8 to grab the lead. We saw a call made earlier when Scott Hargrove did it around Andy Soucek for the lead at the opening lap of round 1 here. And they made him give that position back. Is Molina going to have to do the same thing? It's tough to see in these dark conditions. See if we can take another look at it.
I think the reason it took a little longer for the stewards to make their call is it's dark and they had to really look at stuff. Watch it here now. Molina on the outside of the front row to the right of Pirelli. It looked like he got a good run there, Cal.
It does, and then suddenly he just goes deep on the brakes, and now they're side by side through there. I don't know. I mean, Pirelli kind of forced him over there, but Molina wrestled the lead, but he's going to have to give one position back.
Well, and I think that I heard our race director say it was for in turn 9, not 8, where he maybe had all 4 tires inside of the curb.
But he had nowhere to go. I mean,
I'm
Alvaro had the line on the track, so... but he did use the track limits to gain the lead. So now he's got to try and figure out a way, because if he gives up that position to Pirelli, it's going to be tough to not let Soule back at the same time. If I was Capex, I'd tell Pirelli, get Soule right on your tail. Be impossible for that Ferrari to find the gap.
Well, obviously, there's going to be some energy down in pit lane right now, right?
Yeah, I'm with Remo Ferri, the team owner of our Ferry. You just got the word, as did we, about what the officials have seen on the start. What's your opinion?
Well, I don't know exactly, but I think we're here at the race. And there's a championship on the line. I think it's not where we like to do it. So, but you know what? I'm very disappointed. We'll see what happens.
And to your point, while Tony has clinched the Drivers' Championship, you still have the Teams and Manufacturers' Championships to think about.
Yes, we do. I mean, you know, it's been good all season. I think it came down to the last race here. We won the Drivers. We'd like to fight for the other one. We'll see what happens.
If Tony does drop back, does he have a fast enough car to make the pass and get back to the lead?
We're certainly going to try that. We'll see what happens.
Thank you, Remo.
I'll tell you, Molina played that well. He waited till they were coming up into the entry of that very tight corner, let the one Bentley through, and then there was nothing that Soule could do because he couldn't make the move into that tight chicane.
I'm surprised, though, that K-Pax didn't make the call, get right on the bumper of Alvaro Pirelli. That would have been impossible for Molina to find the gap then. But there was enough of a gap between the two Bentleys for him to slide in between.
He played it well. Now the question is in free air, if you will, up front, where he's not having any compromised aero. Pirelli, who has just been, in terms of raw speed here, the guy. See if he's going to be able to gap something here. Soule actually sets fast lap of the race, though.
Yeah, that number 3 Bentley is really hooked up here this evening. Right now, the team title would go the way of K-Pax as they run. Manufactured still go the way of Ferrari.
Pirelli is indeed dropping that Ferrari just a little bit here. We'll see what happens at the line, but it's pretty obvious here. Pirelli coming through and putting in a 134.5 to a 135. What? Hello.
Knock, knock.
That's close quarters racing.
Well, wow. You know, Soule's got nothing to lose in terms of the championship. just really go after that Ferrari right now. Bentley have the lead, so they're going to score maximum points. What they need to do is get that Ferrari a little bit deeper in the field, and then Bentley could maybe score the Manufacturers' Championship as well. You know Soulei's going to be super aggressive here.
Well, and you know, think back to Watkins Glen and the number 3 and the number 61. Had a lot of love lost from that event as well, so don't know how much that'll play a role, but certainly a fun storyline to throw out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, Souley had the lead on the opening lap there, and it was Tony Vilander aboard the 61 car who skived it down the inside and turned him around. Did not get a penalty for it, and I know K-Pax is still feeling pretty aggrieved about that one.
Long turning the best lap of the race at this stage for him at a 1:33.8, and he's only just a tick over a second behind this duel here. There he is, so he's finding a little bit of pace here.
These top 4 Pro cars have dropped Dane Cameron, the leader in Pro-Am, a little bit. About 2-second gap back to the Pro-Am battle, but I think Cameron pace may be compromised by his lines that he's having to run to keep Campbell behind him.
I was just thinking that he's got a pesky Australian in his mirrors. That's pretty relentless, we know that.
He really is. He is just an amazing young talent. Matt Campbell, he's won Bathurst, the big race down under. He's also won at a Le Mans class victory to his name early in his career. He's a star already and going to be a big star of the
car
future.
4 under investigation. Grid procedure of car 4 under investigation.
All right, grid procedure, so we'll have to see what that is. There's a lot of possibilities with that one. But talking about, I think, a 0 for Colin Brown, most likely. But yeah, I mean, Campbell's run to win at Bathurst, that last stint he put in, where he ran them down, put in a pass in a spot you should just never be able to make a pass at Bathurst, of all places, was absolutely brilliant.
When a young driver can do that, Greg, an iconic race such as Bathurst, that just puts you on the map. I mean, everyone is watching, and people take note.
And that was the opening round of the Intercontinental GT Championship, the challenge, and getting some reports of a nice field starting to be prepped to be heading down to return to Kyalami in South Africa for the season finale. First big sports car race there in a while.
Yeah, it's just 4 or 5 weeks away, so still a lot of big global events left on the calendar this year.
Brent, 8/10 clear of Molina. Souley right there, Long 9/10 back, but here's that battle. Here's a look at Long. That is Perrent working his way out of turn 12.
Key for Bentley to get that manufacturer's title. They need to drop that Ferrari to the 3rd placed manufacturer on the road. That means Porsche has to get between the lead Bentley and the Ferrari, so they're really relying on the 58 car. Pat Long and Scott Hargrove have shown great pace here this weekend to somehow, whether through the pit stop exchange or on track, get that Porsche ahead of the 61 machine.
Well, Long has mentioned to me a couple of times, he said we think we've got a pretty good tire deg, that the car is balanced and working well, and in these cooler temperatures, we think it'd be better still.
Should certainly come their way. He's just keeping right in the shadows of this lead trio.
Good battle unfolding, and behind him, Cameron continues to hang on to the lead in Pro-Am, but only 6/10 adrift as Campbell, Balzan, half a second back, and a little bit of a margin. Second and a couple tenths back to Van der Zande, and Colin Brown running 5th in the Pro-Am class. The Turner BMW of Shirazaka-san continues to lead in the AM category. But up front, Perrent now has stretched that margin to over a second. Alvaro doing what they need him to do. He really has just been on form. I mean, Zuchek's pull lap was a good one for the first race earlier today, and when Perrent went out just 20 minutes later or whatever, pipped him by 4/10, and he's just been flying.
That got his teammates' attention. Very impressive indeed. And it's just a rock-solid group. I mean, they've got very strong driver pairings in both the 9 and the 3 car. Baptista, one of the young stars in our paddock team with Maxime Souley, Bentley factory driver. There's no weak link in those Pro cars, that is for certain. And in the Pro-Am division as well, we've got some superstars running there this year as well.
Oh, absolutely. Cameron Campbell, Bolton, guesting, if you will, Van der Zande, Colin Brown, Kyle Marcelli. I mean, that is a stout lineup
for Mark Miller, who runs behind that group. Just hats off to him again, just to lead that class earlier today and withstand the pressure was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was immense pressure, and he didn't buckle until he got buckled with that bit of contact, so it was a great run. Watching Pat Long here gave us that great look at this track here at the top of the show. That lap that he did at the top of the show a bit earlier when the track was really loose and slippery and green. It's fun to watch these guys just figure the lines out.
You can learn from the drivers that you're around as well. Everyone has a different way of skinning the cat here, and you suddenly find, well, why am I half a car length behind? A bit further on this lap, what did he do in that corner? Just searching for grip, and if you get offline though, you make a little error. And Cameron hasn't made an error yet, but Campbell is just right there, just hovering, waiting for a little slip.
Campbell getting the power down well, coming out of the slow stuff, out of 12, out of 2, out of 3. But Cameron gets that car straightened up, manages to find a little bit of breathing room, but boy, Campbell is close right now.
He is right there, this 43 squad, looking for their 6th consecutive victory. Just been on a tear with Dane Cameron and Mike Headland, even won overall at Road America in the last event of our championship. But Dane Cameron coming off a prototype title win that he won just last week at Road Atlanta. He's had 10 wins this year. Big year for Dane Cameron.
Drive-through penalty to car 4. Drive-through penalty to car 4. Wheels not fitted at the 5 minutes. Wheels not fitted at the 5 minutes.
There's the voice of race control explaining the reason for the penalty on the number 4 of Colin Brown. Welcome back. We have this great battle is just absolutely fierce in the Pro-Am category. Cameron, nothing between himself in that Acura and the Porsche behind him of Matt Campbell. And just a tick further back is Alessandro Balzan. These three, time for me to bring it out, covered by the proverbial blanket.
That's right, and it's just a really tight quarter action right there. As you can see, Cameron just trying to keep it nice and neat and tidy and recognizing, hit his marks. Really key on the exit speed off of turn 12. They're just exiting up onto the speedway. And then through that chicane, not making an error, and just getting good exit speed through turn 2. Being effective with your curvage use through here. Just on the right side of that little crown in the curve is the key. Being on the track side of that, if you get up on top of it, really unsettles the car.
Well, right there, you just saw a great example of that. Cameron went through and just nudged that curve a little bit. Car didn't really move. Then Campbell got there, got up on it a bit higher, and that car really bounced a bit. That's what you're talking about, isn't it? Just
sometimes you'll catch it and you'll be able to put the lap together, but I would say 7 times out of 10 you're not going to do that, and it's going to lose you time. So it's just being efficient, being patient, and recognizing where the lap time is.
Watching Pat Long here, he'll be turning over when the pit stops unfold to Scott Hargrove, who had a very aggressive start earlier today. Ryan, he's watching with great interest.
He did have a great start to this race in race 1. Unfortunately, it kind of ended in heartbreak, Scott, for you and Pat. Came apart in the final lap when it looked like you were poised for a podium. Didn't have a whole lot of time to dwell on it, though. How do you put that behind you?
I mean, at the end of the day, we chalked it up to that's racing. Obviously, to get the maximum results, you have the things you can control and the things you can't control, and they both have to work, and then you get the result at the end, and unfortunately something we couldn't control bit us, but like I said, that's racing. But here we are, Las Vegas, the final race of the year, and it's just been a pleasure, such a pleasure and an honor to race with Wright Motorsports and Pat Long this year, and get to know these guys and race with the team. It's been the best year I could have dreamed for.
And to close out the season under the lights like this, that's maybe good news for the Porsche. Do these conditions suit you guys?
Yeah, I mean, Pat didn't get the best start, so we're in 4th right now, but based off night practice, we're really strong, so I'm thinking, and it looks like it's tightening up out there, so I'm thinking the second stint might get pretty interesting, so we'll see. I'll do my best and hope for a good result. We want that podium finish.
Good luck.
Thank you.
It's got to be kind of comforting for a guy like Scott Hargrove to know that the car he's going to be getting was handled by Pat Long, and Pat's going to turn over a car. He may have not much tire on it left, but he knows there's new tires going on, but the rest of the car that's going to be able to get to the end of this one competitively.
Yeah, for sure, and it's really going to come down to the teams on pit lane, how they execute, because this race is just so tight right now. I mean, you've only got 3.5 seconds between the top 4 still at this relatively late stage. Pit lane will open for those first round, for that round of pit stops in about 11 minutes.
Up front, Brent is may get that margin up to about 1.3, 1.4 seconds, and then Molina now just turning a stellar lap of 1:33.4 and has trimmed it back down to about 1.2.
Just amazing the lack of drop off here with these Pirelli P0s. Just late in the going, just able to hammer down. It's like as the fuel load burns off a little bit, the cars are getting quicker and quicker.
And Long continues to run right there in that 4th spot. Margin from Perret to Long, the top 4 covered by 3.5 seconds. Then this battle, Cameron and Campbell, nothing between them, just the slightest 2-3 car lengths maybe to Balzan. And at this point now, they've been able to open up a bit of a margin, so 4 seconds now back to Van der Zande.
Yeah, it's an intense battle. And you know, for Matt Campbell, if he sees any little opening, he's going to be trying to get through there and get that lead away from Dane Cameron. Imperato, his teammate, has run strong this weekend, and Mike Hedlund had a really strong second part to his stint, had a conservative start here today, unlike Mike Hedlund, but then came on really strong and showed a lot of pace. So I think if he can get the car in the lead, certainly he's got the potential, and he doesn't crack under pressure to maybe get their 6th consecutive victory.
Down into turn 8. Just winding their way. This turn 9, very long corner. Some people diamond it a little bit, others just keep those tires quite tight to the curb.
Tight section right there. Just got to stay off that inside curb. You can see the profile there is a lot higher than the other curbs around this circuit, and if you get into it, there's a wall on the outside ready to grab you.
Well, Campbell learned his lesson in the race earlier this morning when he got that curb pretty good and the car stepped out big time. He saved it, didn't get into the wall, but it cost him a lot of momentum on the exit of that corner. And I'm noticing he's being very circumspect with that section of the track now.
Yeah, great visuals here, though. You can see those brake rotors glowing bright orange as they get deep into the brake zone.
Oh!
58 is out again. Technical issue on the Wright Motorsports Porsche. Heartbreak for this team, and maybe a big break for Ferrari in the manufacturer's standings.
He has pulled it off there. It's right at the end of the pit out area. And there's a little bit of smoke, but I think that's more just from those hot brakes. Looks like he's maybe trying to effect a reset. He's got it in reverse. He feels that it is just day done.
Yeah, he's just trying to find a safe haven there to get it off the racing line and let the track stay green.
That is the show of the sportsmanship of Pat Long here. Unbelievable. So,
and again, to reiterate, for Bentley to wrestle the manufacturer title away, they need to win, and they need the Ferrari to be the 3rd manufacturer on the road. They need Porsche's help with that, and their lead car is out.
well, depending upon how things go, and the pit stops can always create some issues. You just never know here. We've seen stranger things happen. There are Acuras that could get back in there.
Molina is not letting Frank get away, is he?
Not. That's down to under a second now, isn't it?
Which way will they go? Will they go for the undercut? Will you pit early, try and get your second driver in on fresher Pirelli P0s? Or do you do the overcut? I think the overcut may work because I think a new driver getting in, he's got to adjust his eyes and get used to this darkness and find all of his marks that you can't see as easily as during the day. So I think you may see some of these teams elect to go a little bit longer on this first stint.
On board with Perret. Through turn 5, now 6. Gear 7. Here, pick the throttle up early. Run it out.
So smooth. Look at the inputs. His hands on the wheel. marbles kind of hitting the inner fenders. Just try to wrestle that beast and get the power to the ground there as you come up onto the speedway. Very low grip off that final corner.
Ease up slightly onto the banking, and then right by about here, you've got to be down underneath that line on the right.
And there's something in the drive line on the number 58 Porsche, as the report from pit lane. So big disappointment.
Yeah.
And you wonder whether maybe that cut down tire in the earlier race had an effect on that.
Absolutely, and frustrating to be sure, but up front, the battle is rejoined between Perez and Molina. Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with Optima Battery, with Bentley, and with Porsche. Interesting on that problem with the drive line for the number 58 Porsche. I mean, I wasn't really seeing Pat hammering curbs anywhere or anything like that.
Yeah, remember he cut down that tire late in the going in race one, and sometimes that can affect the drive line and transmission in terms of getting it back to pit lane. You know, with the experience, and you know that the team would have gone through it with a fine-tooth comb as far as they could in the time they had to work with here this afternoon.
And watching Molina now, as we talked about, he's down underneath a second in terms of the margin, and I think he's making that maybe even closer right now. He really runs an aggressive line in terms of the track limits going through that turn 9. Has those right side tires quite a bit to the inside of the curb there.
Soule in the second Bentley has dropped back a little bit from this lead duo. A lot of this will come down to the team strategizing around with the software program they have that kind of creates a shadow or a ghost car. They can see where they will come out if they execute at the 58-second timeline on pit lane, where that would put them in traffic, and that will be the key to making that decision.
I would think that's a really, really crucial guide to have, but it's not a sure thing, because if somebody pits at a different moment, comes out, you can still get stuck behind somebody. So there's always that little bit of a variable in there, but boy, that software has to sure help.
It really does. We've even seen Perez run afoul of a car coming in the pit lane slowly at Watkins Glen and costing them a bundle of time. So you just never know. Just have to make your best strategy choice, but this battle is intense. Look at Cameron still holding on that lead. Campbell is not letting him go.
And I am mightily impressed with the run that Alessandro Balzan is putting in here after having been away for so long. He is just right with this group.
He is catching them.
Yeah, he
that
sure
last
is.
lap was 0.4 of a second quicker than both Cameron and Campbell. We knew the attack.
Yeah, he's just a car length or so, a couple of car lengths now.
Balzan's fastest lap is only 0.3 off of Molina's best in the SRO Motorsports Ferrari.
That gives you an idea of the pace that he is able to run right now. Looking at it here, Cameron just putting in a 34 flat, Campbell a 34.1, Balzan another 33.9. So he is definitely up in the ante a little bit in this battle for the lead in the Pro-Am class, which is for 4th overall now with Long's retirement. So running right up near the sharp end of things. Dane Cameron continues to lead in the Pro-Am category, now 4th overall, with the retirement by Pat Long in that Wright Motorsports Porsche. Bit of a surprise, apparent driveline issue. Oh, and look at this. Campbell trying to get the nose down underneath. Dane floated a little wide. They're side by side. This is through turn 7 now, and just enough of a head of steam. And Cameron eases back in front.
He could see those headlights inside of him. He just opened up his hands, recognized he would then have the inside line for the upcoming left-hander. So smart driving by both of them by not trading paint there.
Balzan behind them going, yes, do that. Let me get a run here on you.
I think the Porsche is definitely hooked up a little bit better, and he's feeling the heat from behind as well, so that's forcing the issue a little bit for Matt Campbell to make that move on Dane. I think he can put the Porsche in places where Dane cannot get the Acura to go through that tight infield sector.
We're coming up a minute and a half to the pit window opening. Dane feeding it into the turn 1-2 chicane.
You expect most of these Pro-Am partnerships here to keep the Pro-Am as long as you can, maximize their pace. For the pros, they're pretty evenly matched, so then it's just down to strategy and making that call. With the tire warmers this year, typically if there's high tire deck, you do the undercut, get the driver in, get the fresh tires on your second driver, and get out there and lay down some hot laps while the other guys are struggling on worn rubber. But today there's not a lot of tire degradation to work with.
Now we're consistently seeing laps here late in the going that are within a tenth or two of the fastest lap of the race that Soule set. These cars are maintaining pretty good performance levels, and of course as the fuel load gets lighter, if the tires stay there, everything on the car becomes a little bit more crisp.
It does. It's amazing to see these lap times continue to be trimmed as the run goes on. Let's not forget there's been a full mandatory tire change for the second drivers. A little bit of fuel goes on board as
They've got it.
Campbell there looked really deep. He was definitely thinking about it, but I just feel it's going to be heartbreak for someone if he tries to make that move. There's just no room through that sector to get side by side.
He just rolls a tremendous amount of speed into and through 10.
Window is now open.
Pit window, as you hear, is now open. And watching Dane here, the line he runs through the south apron, he opens it up a little bit more, stays out, and then starts to turn in. Campbell turns in a little bit earlier. And right there, as Dane cuts down, he gets a great drive, and Campbell's the one who tends to float up a little bit higher on the exit. Not so much that time. I think Campbell maybe recognized turning in really early, and then I'm floating a bit wide on the exit.
One thing that's been impressive, not so much the one lap pace of this Acura number 43 this year, but their race pace. They just don't seem to fall off. They got the consistency with the setup. They'd love to be able to sharpen it up a little bit for qualifying, but nonetheless, they've been scoring a bundle of victories with this strategy.
How about Cameron and Campbell on that last lap, turning their best laps of the race?
Well, I think this is go time.
You bet.
This last 10 minutes is if you got anything, you're going to try and stretch it now and try and make the job a little bit easier for your pit crews. I think that's what we're seeing right now, is that they've kept the tires underneath them, and now they're unleashing, going to burn them down if necessary to get the gap. On board here with Molina. Into the brake zones, down to low gear, wrestling that Ferrari up and over the curbs. Look how close that wall is as they exit turn 2.
There are parts of this track that have a very street course feel, don't they? Just enjoying this ride here.
Short shift coming off there. Rodrigo Baptista awaits Maxime Soule in the number 3 Bentley. Such a cool customer. Doesn't say much. He does his talking from the driver's seat.
He's always been a little bit of a shy personality. Like a lot of drivers that are quiet and reserved, that helmet goes on and seems to bring out the animal.
That certainly does. Found a great home there with the K-Pack squad.
It really has.
That burst of acceleration from Alvaro Porent there through turn 10. 7 minutes left on the board to work with in terms of making that pit stop call.
Just remember, a bit earlier in the race, we had Colin Brown and Kyle Marcelli dueling it out for the 8th spot overall and 5th. Well, Marcelli now has it. Brown has dropped back into 10th at this stage, and in we go. First taker, Maxime Soulet in the number 3.
I like this from K-Pex. Keep Alvaro out there. He's got the track position. Try and extend the gap if you can and see if you can cut a really tight pit lane delta on Soulet to Baptista. Put the pressure on our ferry.
In aggressively, as you would expect. The way they set these pit windows up is if you do everything perfectly, you should be able to sit for what, 3-4 seconds?
That's what they're saying, a perfect stop. If you execute everything with the tires and the fuel going on board, you should have 3 to 5 seconds to work with. A little slip there from the mechanic, but didn't really cost him any time as he comes around the front end of the car.
That's a good sign.
The battle going on here. There's Van der Zande and Marcelli, I believe.
Yeah.
Marcelli's got around him. His full position, and Campbell continues to put the heat on Dane Cameron for the lead in Pro-Am. Look at him trying to tuck inside. Dane Cameron has to protect. I really wonder if Cameron maybe have a 10th or 2 more pace if he hasn't won. I'm going to be so conservative, and Campbell there up and over the curb in turn 11.
Boy, he presses so hard.
He's trying everything, but Dane Cameron will not crack. There's another 5 minutes to go. You have to feel they're going to stay out there as long as they possibly can.
Soulet to Baptista, 58.4.
Beautifully done. Minimum time is 58. They have a 1 second joker they can work with on either day of the event weekend, but both races are today, so that was the time to do it.
I don't recall anybody using that joke. You can only use it once in the 2 doubleheader events, and I don't think anybody used it this morning.
There's Imperato getting ready to go. He's been quick here this weekend. It could be a fierce battle between he and Headland.
Down into turn 3. Dane just driving incredibly precise lines, leaving no real opening anywhere. Meanwhile, up front, that is Brent over Molina, the margin of 1.2 seconds. But Brent got it up over that second margin, and it's just sort of stabilized, hasn't it?
Well, you know, Molina wants to get as tight to that bend as he possibly can when they do indeed come to pit lane. Not necessarily on the same lap. Be thinking about where they would exit if there's any traffic they're going to encounter.
Boy, Brent really using the sort of exit curve at the exit of 11, getting those tires on it and using it to ramp down and run through 12. Seems to work pretty well, but he's in. Here we go. The chess match from the top 2 has begun.
50 kilometers an hour, 58 seconds is the amount of time you have to spend from pit in to pit out, including the 4 tire change, fuel going on board, and the driver exchange as well. K-Pax, so much experience with endurance racing, has really played into their hands over the events this last couple of years since we introduced the Sprint X competition.
Print out. That was impressive.
A little bit easier for the Bentleys this weekend with the pit wall being on the other side. Typically it's really compact around the refueling going in, the tire change and the driver exchange on the same side of the car, but it helped out a little bit here today.
Any dance instructor would have been impressed with that move. He did a beautiful pivot turn right back to help out. Away we go. They sat and were able to wait just a little bit. Let's see what they are able to uncork here. There's 58.4.
There's Baptista coming through the chicane. Soucek gets up to speed. Soucek.
That is our AM leading BMW from Turner Motorsport.
Soucek down into turn 3, so that's the gap between the 2 Bentleys. When does our ferry come with the number 61 car that currently has that lead? And how quick can they do it? There they are. They're on pit lane. Pressure is on. They need the perfect stop here. The Bentleys were about as tight as you want to do it.
Vilander is waiting.
If this stop is over 60 seconds, I think the second Bentley may get around Tony Vilander before he hits the track.
Matt Campbell staying out, while Cameron and Balzan and Marcelli are all in. Oh, a little problem here with the fuel.
Yeah, it doesn't look good as the real-time racing team go to work. This could be crucial.
Still struggling with the fuel.
Campbell's in lap. Is that enough to overcome Headland on his out lap?
Boy, this does not look good, Cal.
No, it does not look good at all. They're already at the minimum. Bad stop. There goes the first of the Bentleys. The Ferrari's going to be dropped way down the order here.
Let's watch for it here. Oh, a minute 9, 69.7. And the minimum is a 58 seconds. That's just brutal, Cal.
11 seconds on the board. Cameron to Headland, 57.9. That's a tenth underneath the minimum. They get that 1 second joker. That should be okay.
Well, that's execution.
It is. You got that second to play with. Why not use it?
A lot of confidence to be able to use it. Now Colin Brown in, and of course the reason he dropped back a little bit is he had that drive-through that was announced earlier. So now it's Campbell out front. Van der Zande.
Campbell needs to get in now.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, this is getting close, isn't it?
There's only 20 seconds left. Oh, he's in.
Okay, there we go.
And that extra lap for Matt Campbell could be a deciding factor here. He knows it. He'd have wrung the neck out of that Porsche on that in lap. Key is, did he encounter any traffic? Was it a clean lap? Did he execute? They know they got to be on it because the real-time racing team did a number just underneath the minimum, so they have to be pretty close to that. See a little fence there, a little bit bodywork loose there on the right side, just behind the right front wheel on Suchek's car.
Just flailing a little bit here. So Suchek, Baptista up front, 1-2. Third, Imperato in the number 91 Porsche. Of course, the stop's still unfolding in that case as well, but if that holds, that's a flip-flop. Even with that remarkable stop, Cal, for the real-time team.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's cycled yet, Greg.
Yeah, that's my thought exactly.
Looking at the tracker, I believe the 43 is ahead of the 91 and ahead of the 61 potentially as well. So this is huge because Mike Headland is going to feel the pressure from Tony Vilander. And let's not forget in the manufacturer's chase, Ferrari would be the third manufacturer on the road right now behind the Acura. So
exactly.
Headland doesn't need to do it for his own brand, but he can certainly help Bentley out if he can keep Vilander behind him.
There's
it is. The battle.
Vilander flashing the lights. Headland is fairly used to red Ferraris in his mirrors, too, so.
He has. Oh, he owns it up. Vilander gets to the inside. I think that's going to be the pass. Yeah, he clears him.
I wonder if Headland just did that, so this is not my battle here. I mean, for the manufacturers, it certainly would have helped the Bentley, but it's not his game plan.
No, Headland really needs to focus on Imperato in the 91 Porsche, who's right behind him.
Exactly, that's what it's all about for team championships.
Vilander up to third. Headland down to fourth overall, but leads Pro-Am, and the gap is right there. You can see it. Just as it was before. Cameron over Campbell, now it's Headland over Imperato.
Vilander right now, 8 seconds behind Baptista. He's fully 16 seconds off of Suchek in the lead Bentley. That's how costly that stop was.
Yeah, it's really taken the thread of the win here today. And that's going to be tough on the Ferry team because they've had a great season. They've won the driver's title. Looks like they're not going to win the team championship the way it stacks up right now. And you'd hate to go into the off-season knowing that your last pit stop was not executed as well as it should have been.
Absolutely right. And now he's just got to put his head down and do what he can. And Headland has to defend against Imperato. After the pit stops and timing has cycled through, Tony Vilander in the Ferrari Ferrari sits in the third spot. But Cal, the problem is with that really problematic pit stop, 16 seconds off of the lead, almost 9 seconds off of Baptista in second. That's how costly that stop was as we watch the number 9 now of Suchek. He's got himself a little bit of room to work with.
Yeah, he's flying actually on 33.19. It's the new fast lap for the number 9 Bentley. He's got a 7.5 second lead over his teammate. And with these positions right now, this could secure K-Pax the team championship over R. Ferry.
The manufacturers, just to explain that once again, if the two Bentleys and then the Ferrari would get second place manufacturer points, right?
Second manufacturer on the road, so yes, and that would be enough to win the manufacturer title, we believe, by 3 points. With the Acura ahead, that was going to come down to a tiebreaker as well in favor of Bentley. But with Tony Vilander getting around Mike Headland, that pushes the Ferrari up into the second manufacturer on the road of the brands represented here tonight.
I'll tell you, after that sequence of pit stops, one of the big gainers in the Pro-Am class, the number 7 entry from Squadra Corsa, the Hublot Alpha Prime Ferrari, Martin Fuentes, now in third behind Headland and Imperato. A few seconds back, to be sure, but in front now of Barkey and Curtis, who took over for the 64 Balzan.
Headland doing a nice job, maintains a 1 second lead over Imperato. Great visuals here coming off of the infield up onto the speedway. Tony Vilander, what a championship season he's put together. 6 victories and his second title in a row.
He has. He's just an absolute team leader, and you know, keep in mind he's done this with a couple of different co-drivers. Both of them very fast, but it just seems to click.
It does. It's all about the chemistry and the experience of Tony Vilander to welcome someone in, not let the ego get in the way, and let that driver help you win a championship. He and Miguel Molina had never co-driven together until the beginning of the 2018 season. And they immediately found a happy place in terms of the car setup and what they wanted from the race car. Daniel Serra filled in beautifully for a couple of events this summer as well. Super deep, really deep. That was a little mistake there.
Yes, it was.
Just seemed like he rolled off the brakes a little bit too early. Rolled too much apex speed. Front end wouldn't grip up there.
And out of turn 12, interesting to see what his lap time was. A 34 flat last time. That little bobble indeed could have been costly here.
Didn't miss it by much. There have been a 10th or two, but 34.6.
And behind him, we saw that shot of Headland. Here is Suchek into the infield. Suchek has himself a nice 8-second margin here, and boy, a couple of great pit stops by the Bentley boys, and Ryan Alvaro Perez must be delighted.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about, Alvaro. You guys are up front running 1-2, but this is a real team sport, and your guys displayed that with 2 near perfect pit stops.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, the boys have been incredible on the stops. I mean, they're the fastest ones by far, and don't make a mistake. So that's what you want. So big thanks, you know, to Russell and Derek and the whole team that do it over again, you know, and Steve on the fuel and all of them. They've been doing a great job.
And the result, if it stands, running 1-2, that would be good enough to win the team's championship for K-Pax. What would the significance of that be for you?
It's big. It's obviously this team is the best, and it needs to. We need to win this title. You know, at least as we can win the drivers' title this year. But really happy where we are standing right now, and I hope it finishes soon, right?
Absolutely. Well, good luck. Enjoy the rest of the race. We'll talk to you after.
Thank you.
You can see he's happy, but he's also a little nervous here. Those eyes are dancing around. It's like there's a lot of energy pumping right now.
He's done a lot of racing. He knows there's a long way from being over here. Thinking about that little bit of body work that's broken there. It's probably from the contact that Molina and Brent had through turn 9, second corner of the opening lap here today. There's definitely some paint traded there as Molina was really forcing the issue.
Doesn't seem to have affected the speed of the car because Suchek came out with fresh tires and popped up fast lap in the race.
I think that's a bit of a statement for Andy Suchek. Remember, this stage of the year, a lot of drivers' contracts are up for grabs, so everyone wants to go out on a high. Yeah, that little short shift there, Greg. Don't want to wind out a lower gear there. It really makes it hard to keep the rear end underneath you. Just pop an extra gear. Just use the torque of the engine to pull it through. Oh, there's a spin there.
Looks like Imperato. Indeed.
Another car involved. Fuentes? Or is that Italy?
I don't know. There's the it's the number 38 of Milstein. He regathers it and is able to continue as well, but may have caught out Anthony Imperato. Just brought to you in partnership with Purple Monkey Garage and with Ferrari. We'll have to check out. Here's Hedlund, so he was up front and had room and no problems there.
Here's Imperato, so he's definitely lost a ton of time there. Does this open the path for Hedlund and Cameron to get their 6th win in a row and 7 out of 8 rounds together? What a remarkable partnership. Started at Sonoma, got a single victory that weekend, and since they left Sonoma have been unbeaten.
It was almost, serendipitous, wasn't it? The way that played out, because when Curtis, hurt his back, couldn't get there. It's kind of a last-minute deal. He just couldn't drive. And they knew Hedlund was nearby, didn't have anything going in terms of a ride that they were aware of called, and he said, "Sure, I'll pop over, put it on pole." And you just couldn't see. Well, maybe the dominoes are falling our way right now here, and since they have teamed up, it's been pretty impressive.
It really has, and I mean, particularly that performance at Sonoma, his home track for Mike Hedlund, but he was really, really strong in terms of pace. I mean, there's typically a little bit of a delta between the Pro and the AMs in the Pro-Am class, but I think that's the closest he was to Dane Cameron all season long. Gave him a lot of confidence straight out of the box, and you give Mike Hedlund confidence, he will deliver, because he's an awesome race car driver.
Yeah, and then of course leading for overall for some 20 minutes under huge pressure at the Glen. That'll build a little confidence, and then hanging on to win overall at home at Road America. He's just
he doesn't want this season to end.
Yeah, not at all. He's having a fabulous year here. So we are keeping an eye on Imperato right now. That little spin and continue. Didn't cost him a ton. I mean, it's significant, 6 seconds or so, but I mean, it could have been a lot worse than that. And of more concern for him is it maybe allowed Fuentes to get within about 6 seconds of him at this stage.
Hedlund did not have a great last lap, so he can't afford to relax too much. Otherwise, Imperato, the pace he's got, could be right back on him.
Barkey now 4th in the number 80, and Bechtelsheimer in 5th in the number 5. Unit Nutrition Acura in the battle for Pro-Am here. Anthony Imperato continues to run second here in the Pro-Am category in the 91 Wright Motorsports Porsche. However,
drive-through penalty to car 9.
he was a lot closer, and a huge move down underneath Headland and got into the back of the 38 of Milstein.
Yeah, just misjudged that a little bit, made a big lunge down the inside and got into the back of the 38 car. Doesn't matter if it wasn't for position on the 38, it's still avoidable contact. Easy call for the stewards there.
Absolutely, and while we were showing that replay, the announcement came through by Race Control. Number 91 will get a drive-through for causing that, and maybe have another look at it. We had a Celine Cup race earlier, and the driver was almost on the same thing. You just get this great run, and then you just can't slow it down.
Yeah, I'm not sure he'd have kept on the track without the Porsche there anyway. It's a pretty brazen move there.
Exactly. So he will be getting a drive-through, which will drop him farther back, and certainly Fuentes will move up into the second spot. See where Barkey and Beckelsheimer might slot in there as well.
Yeah, it's going to cost you around 20-plus seconds to do that drive-through at 50 miles an hour, so it's a big penalty as tight as this field is.
You can't take anything away from Anthony's speed. You said it. I mean, Campbell's been just remarkably fast here, but Imperato has been on his game pretty solidly here.
He was going for it.
Yeah, that's
that was
for sure.
For the lead. It wasn't just for a position, it was for the lead, but just didn't judge the speed of the Porsche up ahead of the lead pairing there.
Up front, Suchek. That margin over Baptista, about 7.5 seconds right now. Vilander another 10 back. Sorry, Cal.
Yeah, I think Imperato needs to make this call here pretty quickly, otherwise he's going to get stopped scoring. He stays out for another one. I think for sure Fuentes and Barkey will get by. It'll be tight to Beckelsheimer, I believe, in terms of the time loss on pit lane once he makes that drive-through.
I think. I mean, it's pretty fair evidence of what happened here, and I can't imagine that, especially having potentially seen that replay a couple of times, that the crew thinks there's any realistic argument to dissuade Race Control from this happening.
No, you got 3 to 4 laps to really make that pit stop, otherwise they will stop scoring you. But so I'm sure John Wright and the team there will make that call to get him in. Here's Takeda for another AM victory here for Turner Motorsports.
Naoto taking over from Takuya Shirazaka, and they've leader in the AM category and running a limited season, but they were really happy to be able to fit in 4 races here with Turner Motorsport here in SRO Motorsports America World Challenge activity after sort of dipping their toe in the water with 1 run last year, and they really enjoyed the experience and said, we'd like to do more of this. They keep themselves fairly busy racing in Asia, but on a couple of openings, and said, well, let's do it. And I think this is their 4th race this year.
It is, and really nice driver pairing, lots of fun. They enjoy their racing, and they found a great team to do that with. Turner Motorsports have fun, but they're very serious about their game, synonymous with BMW's success over the years. So Will Turner runs a great operation, and he's happy to have these drivers come over from Asia and run with him.
And lest we forget, Will Turner was a real player in the touring car classes here in World Challenge over the years. And here we go, Imperato in for that drive-through. There's the throttle up. Here comes Barkey. Oh boy, this is going to make it interesting, isn't it?
Yep. Just gets out in front of Barkey. I thought Barkey may have just cleared him. Maybe that's why they kept him out as long as he could, because Anthony was running some very competitive lap times.
We'll see whether Martin Barkey is able to dig deep, find some speed, try and catch up and give a run here at Imperato.
It only cost him 1 position, but certainly took away the potential for a race victory. Headland now leads from Fuentes. Gap there is about 10
Pit
seconds.
stops. Car 7. and car 96 pit stops under review.
All right, we get a report here. You heard the 7 of Fuentes and the 96 of Takeda. They're reviewing their pit stops. We only saw there was one team that was a little short, but that would have been covered by that Joker. So this would probably be for some pit stop procedural infringement that they're looking at. And so Barkey continuing to run in 4th, but closer to Emperado. Hedlund and Fuentes leading in Pro-Am. Watching this battle here, Barkey trying to close down a little bit on Emperado. Up front overall, Suchek and Baptista, the 2 Bentleys, have themselves a margin at the front, separated by about 8 seconds. Another 9 back to the Ferrari of Vilander. And then another stout run by the Pro-Am combination, Cameron and Hedlund for real-time racing, and the number 43, 4th overall.
Just past the point in this race where points will be scored if you're running. So for Barkey and Marcelli, that is important because that means they should seal the Pro-Am title championship, even though it looks like Dane Cameron will end up with the highest point score because he's not tied with an AM partner for the full season. He basically drops down the order because of that. And that will hand the championship to the Racers Edge group. But it's been a phenomenal season for the number 80 team.
Yes, it has.
Just making that massive jump up to GT3 competition with immediate success. And hats off to John Maraki and the whole group for putting a program together at this level.
And executing it beautifully. They're very impressive what they were able to do here. And for Dane Cameron, he may not officially find himself in a championship scenario, but he will be comfortably the top finishing pro driver in the Pro-Am category.
He'd love to have that second title in a week, but
absolutely.
I don't think it's going to affect his career any. He's certainly a man on a mission right now. 11 wins for the championship season across 2 different categories. If Mike can bring it home tonight.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Always have to qualify things here because there's still 20 minutes on the clock. Onboard rides here. Boy, he just tucks it right up to that wall, doesn't he?
He really does. Joel Bechtolsheim has done a really nice job here this weekend. He has nowhere near the experience level of some of the drivers he's around. He's a avid vintage and historic racer over in Europe. Runs some of the big events over there, but he's really taken to this GT3 car. Has a lot more downforce than he's used to driving, but he seems to be equally at home.
Well, yeah, it's not like in his vintage racing. He's driving, relatively late model, high power, high downforce stuff. He runs truly vintage machinery, skinny tires like Allards and the like back in the era. And but he hops behind the wheel of this machine and is just right there to the point he qualified on pole for the race earlier this morning. Tells you what you need to know about Joel Bechtolsheimer and the speed he can muster when he needs it. Sitting 5th in the Pro-Am category right now, that is Martin Barkey up front, the man that he is chasing, and he's in fact closing him down just a little bit here. Tony Vilander, 3rd place, and is just seemingly almost settled in here. He's running some quick laps. I mean, at 33.9, but the problem is Baptista 33.9, Suchek at 34.6, as he's given up just a little bit on that lap. And for Tony Vilander, just a problematic stop. And prior to the pit stops, I mean, they were right in the mix. Even though Molina had to give up a spot, they were right in the mix. Then the pit stop unfolded. And look at this. The report is it all began when he overshot just a little bit. The refueler, they couldn't get the fuel hose in. So they had to, and then the car was up on the jack. So at that point, they couldn't move it at all. Meanwhile, the number 43 had been in, but that's what created that initial problem. And it cost them dearly. I believe it was 69 seconds. And the minimum times 58. So that was 11 seconds that they just left in pit lane.
Certainly took the pressure off K-Pax.
Yes.
Even though they were going to be tough to beat here this evening.
Based on some comments we've heard from the team, it may be this last 40 minutes of the race may have been a little tough on the radio.
Yeah, Tony's never shy in sharing his opinions, but the team loves his passion.
Oh, you bet. You bet. Any comment he's making on the radio is probably talking about himself, because if he did the overshoot, that'll frustrate him, because he is a man who just likes to execute perfectly. And he is something special, truly, behind the wheel of a race car, whatever it is he's racing.
And his leadership as well. It's not just his speed, it's the leadership and experience that he brings to the table. He's been a busy, busy driver this year, campaigning in 2 different championships here in North America. He also does Formula One commentary for his native country of Finland. He's got a couple of kids who love to see their dad at home as well.
Yeah. Well, I asked him at Road America, I said, Tony, I seem to remember hearing that you were talking about maybe needing to just back out of another one and slow down a little bit. And he said, yeah, he said, I was thinking about that. And he said, my wife and I got to talking, and it was like, this is a sport when you have the opportunity, because, as age moves on, at a certain point, suddenly you're not going to be as much in demand. And we decided, well, then let's do it.
By the way, also his partner's now in a new Ferrari dealership in Finland. And he'll cut your grass next week if
Look at this little scrap here.
Headland's in trouble, I think. He just doesn't have pace right now, and Fuentes is caught and past him.
Wow, yeah, Headland that lap of 35.7 to Fuentes. Well, this lap now, Headland a 143.1. Yeah, he's got some issue. And there goes Fuentes.
He just had a bobble, and Fuentes just got a charge on him, but see what happens on this lap.
Oh, Fuentes is just driving away from him, it seems, here. This is huge. For Fuentes, Road America was the first weekend that they decided to make the step up and give Pro-Am a try after he'd already clinched the Am category. How impressive would it be if he, in only his second event racing Pro-Am, were to be able to get a win?
You're in Vegas tonight, look out.
Yeah.
Renger and Martina celebrating.
That is a really good point.
Either look out or join the party.
I was going to say, stay clear, but stay close.
If you're working tomorrow, look out. If you want to have fun, try and join them.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuentes driving by Headland and being told that's for the lead. You just imagine him trying to contain that. Got to maintain that focus. Picking up the throttle. You can see here now what these laps are. Fuentes' last lap was a 137.1. Headland's a 43.1. Fuentes a 36.4 and Headland a 38.0, so able to find a little bit of speed once again.
He's found some pace again, so I'm not sure if he had an off and just had some marbles on the tires.
Well, have to see if he can dig deep now, find it, and get back and take it to Fuentes for the lead in Pro-Am. Today's coverage is being brought to you in partnership with BP Racing Fuels, with Acura, and with Lamborghini. "13 minutes remaining here in the season finale under the lights at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Andy Suchek, he's just got a little rhythm going. He's using those curbs, although he's giving up a little bit here. I mean, Baptista, that margin was 8 seconds not long ago. It's down to 5 right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they're just managing it. Just try not to stretch the tires or anything like that. Just try and bring it home.
That was in those last few laps when we saw a couple of cars have some issues this morning. So if you can ease off a little bit, as you said, keep the stress off of all the components. Except the one behind the wheel. That's always going to be stressed a little bit here in these last few laps, isn't it?
Well, it's been a wonderful partnership between Andy Soucek and Alvaro Perez. Might not see Alvaro competing here next year, still to be determined.
What's pretty impressive is a pairing here. They got their 6th and 7th poles on the season for the team. 3 wins, 11 podiums. It's a remarkable run. They've each had some fast laps. They have been really locked in here. The impressive thing is when one of them maybe has had a little bit of an issue, the other one has been able to pick it up and carry it, or offer some suggestions to bring the other one right back into it. They've really worked well as a team.
You can see there from the onboard that they're actually on the brakes before the finish line, and that's why they've elected to let the drivers go straight through at the finish. You don't want drivers suddenly trying to make that pass as one's on the brakes and someone else is willing to overshoot that chicane.
Wow, those rotor glow is something else. Beautiful to watch, that's for sure.
A little the weight transfer is in a race car, it goes to the front end, so that's why those front brakes take the hammering.
A lot of energy that's built up and then dissipated in there, isn't it? Watching him just wind his way down this backstretch here. Here's the number 43 of a recovering Headland. Watching the real-time racing Acura in the hands of Mike Headland, but now second in the Pro-Am category. And is starting to get some speed back in, but had been leading in that category for a long time. But just a few laps ago here, a big moment, Cal.
Yeah, it was. Here you can see he's really slow coming up onto the speedway, and Fuentes just takes advantage of it. Dives through for the lead in the Pro-Am class, and we're understanding that Mike thought something may have been broken on the car. The team are trying to get him just to stay with it. He may have just got some fluid on the racetrack. Something felt strange, though, and for Mike Headland, he elected just to play it safe there, make sure the car was underneath him before he got back to it. But it has cost them the lead and the chance of a 6th consecutive victory here to finish off the season. Can he dig deep and chase after that Ferrari again?
Well, he's bringing those speeds down again, and the lap times down just a little bit here. 9.5 minutes left in this one here, and Headland has got to find some speed. That margin is 5 seconds that he has adrift of Fuentes at this stage. And, could have been fluid. Also, sometimes you run a little wide, you pick up some marbles, and it just puts a vibration through the car, starts to squirm a bit, and it could get your attention as well.
Oh, big time. It can be very confusing for a driver. So one of the leading drivers in the world do that at the 24 Hours at Daytona once from the lead. Said the car's broken, brought it in, and all it was a massive ball of rubber. It got up underneath the suspension. Cost them potential victory. So race cars can be very deceiving in their feedback at times, and when you're committed around a high-speed racetrack like this with these banking corners, you want to make sure that everything is 100%.
For Headland, the bigger issue now may not be trying to run down Fuentes, maybe holding off Imperato, who is running laps about a half second faster than Mike.
Yeah, Mike is obviously not happy with that race car right now. He feels something's amiss. He's typically one of the most consistent drivers, and his lap times are jumping up and down a little bit right now. So maybe there is indeed a technical issue with the race car that we're not quite sure of.
And this is a good little battle too, isn't it? Barkey feeling some serious heat now from Bechtelsheimer for 4th in the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, this is a great scrap.
2 very talented AMs, that's for sure.
Look at Till. Really wide through 8, and he has caught him.
He has. One of the things that I like about, thinking about it there, that's that crazy line. That's a Campbell line right there.
That's a Campbell line. And sometimes it's just the headlights that deceive, and you think they're all way up the inside. They just run a slightly different line there.
One of the things that you know, you can really tell a guy who is just absolutely in it is when some of the drivers come out of a corner and there's a short little chute and they just sort of roll into the next corner. Till Bechtolsheimer has none of that. He straightens it up. He goes to throttle for a second. Look, that's exactly what he did. So right now, Barkey hanging on in front in this battle for the 4th spot in the Pro-Am class here at Las Vegas. Yeah, Barkey he's got a guy attacking underneath him here. I was just watching that coming out of 8. What I was talking about was you could see Bechtolsheimer, he just jumped on that throttle for that instant. You can see that car just plant and squirt and go. See if he back up here now to the Hedlund-Imperato duel. And that's the first time now Hedlund back down to the low 35s. Imperato a bit quicker, but Hedlund had been running around in the 36s for a bit.
Yeah, he's got refocused here. Maybe got his confidence back, assured himself that the car is fine. Having finished below 2nd place. 5 wins, 6 wins.
Well, he's got 6 minutes. He's got to somehow hang on and find that speed. You've got to believe the way we've seen him drive, if he determines that, okay, yep, the car is okay, he can do it.
Yeah, he's very resistant to pressure, which is a great asset to have as a race car driver. I mean, some people crack easily, some people are just oblivious to it, really. And Mike's one of those guys. When you've got drivers like Daniel Serra and the likes and Ferrari factory drivers putting the pressure on and you don't crack, that is really making a statement, as we've seen in a couple of races earlier this summer.
Imperato is just now within a matter of car lengths adrift here. Up front, Soucek continues to lead by about 5.5 seconds over teammate Baptista.
Imperato was right there.
Yeah,
we saw him have a big lunge early in the race where he got caught out and gone to the tail of the 38 that caused that drive-through penalty. See if he can put it together here and try and wrestle this runner-up position away.
Wiggle there for Hedlund. This is Imperato. He's quick through this section where he got in trouble, as a matter of fact. And now working into this very tight 10, 11, 12 complex to lead them back onto the north apron. Battle for second in Pro-Am is about as close as it gets right now. Mike Hedlund has been able to recover a little bit of speed, maybe as a result of that, a little bit of confidence in that number 43 Acura from real time. But Anthony Imperato, he is in full attack mode right now in that right Porsche.
Yeah, really nice job there through the chicane. Mike Hedlund now hitting his marks once again. Going to try and hold off Imperato. He and Cameron have never finished lower than second. They've had 6 victories, 1 runner-up finish. This is their 8th race together. See if Mike can hang on to that runner-up position here tonight.
Down into the infield, turn 3. Closing in on 3.5 minutes remaining. They are now 6.5 seconds behind Fuentes in the Squadra Corsa Hublot Alpha Prime Ferrari.
And they're all running very similar lap times. Fuentes, Hedlund, and Imperato all within 1/10 of a second of one another right now, the pace at the end of this race.
Yeah, of the 3, Imperato has been able to dip into the 34s on occasion here.
Tony Vilander just laid down his fastest lap of the race. Just continues to dig. And that's the fastest lap for that race car as well tonight.
One thing I'm sure with all of the years and all of the races he's done, he knows, never give up, keep pressuring, something can happen.
That's right. There's a little slip by one of those leaders, you want to be close enough to take advantage.
Here's a look at the number 3 running second, Baptista for K-Pax in the Bentley Continental GT3.
Quite the dominated finish to the season that we saw from Baptista last year, where we swept both rounds at Watkins Glen. But nonetheless, a really solid year, a couple of podiums here. today with his teammate Maxime Soulet. Great way to finish the championship season now for a little bit of disappointment. Oh, problems here. Bechtelsheimer. He went on there.
I wonder if he overshot the chicane. He couldn't take advantage of that and had to wait for Markey to go back through.
Yeah.
Andy Soucek leading 5.7 seconds here. The final 2 minutes. This lap and another one. They will finish on the front straight. They might be in for a little bit of an interesting show as well, because race control and the series has asked, and everybody comes through for that checkered flag. They wanted him from the get-go to just stay up on the oval. Don't try and make the chicane, just take the checker and go. Now they've asked everybody to slow down, wait for the rest of the field to come, and continue on around on the oval in a 2x2 formation for a special, memorable moment, video and camera pictures for the first visit under the lights here at Vegas.
Soucek is just not backing off, continuing to crack laps in the 133 bracket. It's got to be fun when the car's working well and the tires are hanging in there as this car gets a little bit lighter.
One thing I've noticed is that I understand, just running the laps through this part of the track, he continues to be pretty aggressive on the curbs in that 1-2 complex.
He does. That's his way of attacking it. I think you could be a little bit easier through there and be a bit more effective, but he's running the lap times. He's got the experience, he's got the feel, and he's comfortable doing that.
My concern is just the stresses on the suspension and drive trains through there, but seems to be working for him. All right, here we go. White flag, 1 to go here at Las Vegas in the Blancpain GT World Challenge America at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, presented by Run by Cirque du Soleil. I encourage you on October 24th to get some tickets and go see that live action thriller making its debut here on the Vegas Strip. On board for the last time. Final lap.
Fantastic season of racing. Fierce competition at the sharp end of this field. It's turned into a battle between the teams, between Capex and our Ferry for the championship title there, and it looks like it's going to swing the way at Capex here in the final weekend.
Here comes Andy working his way through the 6-7 complex. Down this infield chute. Get Baptiste and Vielander second and third in the Bentley and the Ferrari. Fuentes just turned to 36, Fuentes did, and the others turning 34, so he gave up a little bit here, but he knows it's last lap as well.
He's just managing. He's had so many victories, he knows how to bring it home.
Speaking of bringing it home, for the last time onto the north apron, the number 9 Capex Bentley swept both poles, won the race earlier today, and the Parent-Soucek duo does it again. A Bentley sweep here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for Capex Racing, Andy Soucek, and Alvaro Parent. What a finish to the season. And with Baptiste coming through in that second spot, that should be enough, shouldn't it, Cal, for them to be team champions for Capex Racing?
They are the team champs, but I think the manufacturer's title will swing the way of Ferrari.
Waiting to see what happens here in this Pro-Am duel. A bit behind these guys here. There is Fuentes. See those headlights dancing behind him of Hedlund. So it's fairly close here.
I think it may be the 0-4 between the 7 and Hedlund, actually.
You can see that TR3 Racing team, Ringer, standing down there. Fuentes up onto the banking. Comes through. He had a heck of a season with 8 wins in the AM category. And in his second weekend of racing in Pro-Am, wins it there. And you can see the delight from that TR3 Racing crew. Absolutely elated. When Renger van de Zande steps in and gets himself a win in his second start after missing things for a while. That's just awesome. Hedlund did hang on for second, Cal, so a good run there, but Boy, Imperato was relentless, wasn't he? Only 4/10 behind Hedlund at the line.
Kept the pressure on. Certainly some great performances here today. I think Mike will be a bit disappointed. Just something felt amiss with the car there momentarily. Allowed Fuentes by for the lead. But nonetheless, a very strong season for the 43 squad.
Here you have a look at the provisional standings. Soucek, Perez over Soule and Baptista in the team Bentleys. Vilander and Molina in the Ferrari third. And then a great battle at the end with Fuentes hanging on over Hedlund, Imperato, Barkey, and Bechtelsheimer. Your top 5 in Pro-Am under the lights in Vegas. The 64, of course, Balzan had been very racy there, and a little bit of a problem on the changeover, but Brett Curtis coming out and bringing it home 6th in class. George Kurtz 7th. There we go. Bringing the guys up to run 2x2 here.
I think Andy forgot the memo.
I think he did. I think he was just savoring the moment and then got the reminder. Oh, they're trying to do this little special scenario here. Here they are bringing him in. Great story here, and for again for Turner Motorsports, although they were the only car in the AM class, just a treat having them in the paddock, and those guys raced very hard, Takeda and Shirazaka, and put in a great run as well. And you know, the coulda woulda moment here, the 58 of Long and Hargrove.
Yeah, that's a shame because they're really strong here this weekend. Had the tire cut down in race 1 in the late going, and then pretty early on today, actually, that driveline issue. Curious to know if the two could be related, maybe not, but nonetheless could have been a consequence of the doubleheader on the same day.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Sending Soucek into the area where the interviews are going to be and celebrating a little bit. You know, there's a drag strip right next door to this track, and he must have heard the cars last night. Ignited it just a bit.
Thought you were going to take our rental car out there for a bit.
That Ford Escape SUV is wicked quick, dude.
It's bracket racing, great. You can still win.
Exactly. Here's the number 93, or the number 3. There is the 9. And there's the celebration getting out of the car. Boy, what a day. You know, normally we'd say what a weekend, but I mean, this is all unfolding in one day here. It's pretty amazing for the K-Pex team. Tony Vilander pushing hard at the end, but just couldn't make up that time. And finished back a bit in the order here. The K-Pex team celebrating down in the victory circle staging area. Let's get right down to Ryan.
Well, a great 1-2 for the K-Pax Bentley team, and a team's championship for the team as well. Andy Soucek, you led home that 1-2 finish. It really was a team effort, and to bring the team to championship, what does that mean?
It means a lot. I mean, it's the only thing that was left for us, as the driver championship was obviously not anymore in reach. We secured the second place in the championship in race 1, and we just tried to win the team championship in race 2, which we did, thanks to some mega pit stops from the team as usual. I mean, the guys are working really hard on getting the pit stops well. Thank you. Well done, buddy. So pleased with everybody, especially with the mechanics who have been practicing so much. So congrats to K-Pax. You know, at least we won something this year, apart from a few races, and it feels good. I think we're going to go out tonight and have fun.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not too far away. You can have a lot of fun here at this place. And I love it that basically when he was talking about winning the team championship, he said it was because of 2 mega pit stops by the team.
That's right.
That's awesome.
They can make the difference, but certainly the cars are very quick here this weekend. But a big year again for Alferry Motorsports. Driver title to Tony Vilander, and with that, they also bring the manufacturer title to Ferrari.
Yeah, that's a big one. No question. Both of those championships, to be sure. And you can see, I mean, they finished third. You wouldn't see a big smile on the face of these guys with a third-place finish, but I think they realized that it was just a Bentley track, and they were able to still come through, having already got Tony that driver's championship. They were able to bring the manufacturer's championship to Ferrari. And they're going to be pretty happy with that. Let's check in with Ryan.
Let's go ahead and chat with the Pro-Am Drivers Champions. They come from the Racers Edge team, Martin Barkey, Kyle Marcelli. It's been a great season for you guys, and it ends in a title. How special, Martin?
Yeah, couldn't see. I think I just couldn't expect that. I don't know what to say, really. You already mentioned the Racers Edge guys. They've done a great job, and HPD has always given us a great car, and the support from HPD has been amazing. And, I can't say enough about this guy. He makes me a better driver each and every race, so I hand it off to Kyle.
You've been fast all season, Kyle. Some overall polls right there in the mix with the fastest of the bunch. Do you think this is a statement season for you?
I hope so. I mean, it was a pleasure to be here, a pleasure to be a part of the SRO Championship. First year in the Acura NSX, and it was just an amazing car to drive. And, Racers Edge, they really stepped it up this year. It was a new program, and to compete against the best. I want to say thank you to Real Time. Dane and Mike, those guys set the bar high for us all year long, and it was fun to just dig deep and chase them. And it's a lot of fun to share the seat with this guy. I've known him forever, and to get that championship means a lot.
Wonderful season. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You can see the emotion there for Martin Barkey, and it's totally understandable here to end up in that first season in GT3 competition to find themselves as a champion teamed, of course, with a guy like Kyle Marcelli. So absolutely remarkable season for the Racers Edge team champions, Martin Barkey and Kyle Marcelli in Pro-Am. Good look there at the lights of the Strip in Vegas, the Strat over there on the right, and then some of those other mega casinos down there. And look at the signatures all over the side of the Racers Edge Acura here. And again, Bechtelsheimer, he gave it his all late in the going. I mean, he was 0.2 behind Barkey at the line there.
Yeah.
So Till was giving it as much as he could.
He really did a great job here this weekend, and a great way to finish the season for Gradient Racing. Leading race one in the Pro-Am class for a number of laps. That was really a statement, and will give them a lot of confidence heading into the off-season.
Absolutely, and deservedly so, certainly. And again, that 1-2 by the Bentley boys up front, Vilander in the Ferrari, along with Miguel Molina sitting there in third. And then Fuentes and Hedlund recovered fairly well, didn't he? I mean, his last lap, he got right back down into the low 135 range. So when that confidence came back, so did speed.
Yeah, I think so. That may have been his fastest lap of the race, actually.
That's a good point.
I'm not sure if he was cutting into the 34s in the earlier going. So, yeah, he suddenly had a moment there. Car didn't feel right, thought maybe something was broken. And that hesitation at this level, suddenly Fuentes was through for the lead.
Did a nice job. And for Brett Curtis, just nice to have him back racing after that back issue that he had earlier when he was running with Dane Cameron in the number 43. And it was basically he didn't fit in the car well. And it tweaked his back a little bit. And the reason he came back with the Ferrari was he said it's just ergonomically inside the car. It works better for my build. And so to have him back in it, and hopefully we'll see him be able to make some more starts and get that racecraft as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's run with Scuderia Corsa before in other races, so I think that was a good fit for him, and good for him to knock the rust off once again. I mean, when you're out for several months, you dive back in at the deep end. It's hard to put it at the sharp end of the grid.
Impressive stuff. Well, I'll tell you, just a pretty remarkable season that we've seen unfold with great battles in all of the categories, to be sure. And a lot of excitement here, certainly. And this is it, the season finale. Under the lights here in Las Vegas. And really, the cars looked great under the lights. The racing was strong. And it was a lot of fun to be able to finish the season here at Las Vegas here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The celebrations, of course, continuing here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And you think there's energy and excitement down on the Strip? Well, we're